Welcome back to Bloodlines and Bottom Turns, and today we're in the House of Davidson.
The House of Davidson.
Welcome.
Welcome, Master.
I was going to say, Muster.
Good to see you, boys.
Firstly, thanks so much for obviously lending us the unit and
No problem.
allowing us just to take full control and setup of it. Probably looks a little bit different to when you're in here moving your stuff in.
It feels a bit like a little Lebanese Casbah.
Yeah, well, you know about a Lebanese Casbah.
Well, at Habibi's down at Bondi years ago, where we used to get in the back room and get the kebabs,
And the
the
Jisha
falafels, and the Turkish, whatever they call that thing, the bagpipe.
Yeah.
The shisha.
The Jisha. The six-pronged
The
Jisha.
shisha, yeah, that's it.
Now, I don't know what direction this...
That was good with hummus.
I honestly can't tell you guys what direction this episode's going to go in today, but we're going to be sitting down with Davo this morning, having a yarn with you, and then we're going to get Brandon in, his son. He's sitting there over there waiting for his turn. So let's dive in. Obviously, you and Dad have a bit of a history surfing Bondi together, growing up. Well, when I say growing up in Bondi, Dad, when you moved down there, what, in your early 20s?
Yeah, 22.
Yeah, so earlier days for you in your career, Dad, but you guys obviously did a lot of traveling together.
Yeah, I was probably about 16 or 17 when Robbie moved down to Bondi.
When he blew in on the Northerlies.
And he was just this colourful, fresh
Blue bottom.
bit of surfing that we needed to see. Because the urban, there wasn't much style in the urban ghetto. Maybe Crammy was the most stylish.
Oh, definitely.
And but other than that, Shane had a bit of style. But as far as surfing styles go, there was a mongrel attitude to the wave, so you just wanted to smash it to pieces. So
Bill Power.
yeah, so there was a bit of finesse lacking, and then Robbie brought that to town. So we got to see a fresh, new way of surfing, which we all appreciated. That's why we got him in the ITN Board Riders.
I was about to say we did touch on ITN yesterday with Will, so you might be able to shed a bit more light into your experience with ITN at some point.
The left in the south corner.
Yeah, that was a really good place to grow up in. The rip bowl in the left corner, in the southern corner there.
The poo pipe.
The poo pipe was a left and right, usual like a right rip bowl, and they weren't the best waves, but they were good enough to make you appreciate when you went to somewhere else.
Mate, they made me appreciate the sunny coast.
Exactly.
Really?
So yeah.
I was about to say we're from the sunny coast, like we're used to having mediocre waves for the most part. But I mean, I've never had a real good surf at Bondi. I've had a couple of comps down there, and I've never really enjoyed it all too much.
And that was firing.
When we went up for that comp,
That was pretty good.
With Sydney waves, because we've got a lot of cliffs, there's a lot of reverberation off the cliff, so that the water surfaces are bumpy. So you learn to surf a lot of bumpy waves. And then when you get a nice clean canvas, like up on the Gold Coast, the waves are pretty smooth here. It's just like butter surfing with your fins, and you don't have to worry about digging rails on bumps and lumps and reading that. So it's like more of an autopilot surfing, which is nice.
Yeah, but we did get some good waves at Macca's and Tama.
Oh, yeah, there's waves around the corner that have got more punch to it. And, we got some good waves. We don't want to talk about them too much, Robbie.
No, well, one beach is blackballed for all summer. You can only surf it in winter.
Yes.
And then the other one we were talking about only very irregularly gets sand.
Yeah.
But it reverberates back off the cliffs and wedges like a full bowl, but it's only about 30 metres long.
Yeah. It's a weird phenomenon that sometimes it wouldn't break for 7 years. And just it's a really natural phenomenon in Mackenzie's Bay, how all of a sudden one year there'll be a beach and sand, and when that does happen and you're a local there, it's just like
it's special.
One of the most happiest times of your life to have that little beach there and that perfect left. So
unless Coro's out there.
Oh, the old ham.
The old puffing ham.
Yeah, no, we had good times down there, surfing there.
Definitely.
Cherish those moments.
Listen, me moving to Bondi taught me a little bit of mongrel. okay, but
For sure.
it taught me how to surf a contest. The waves weren't that flash. We had Coro and Bill Power just dominating the lineup at that time and giving me a hard time for being the blue bottle that blew in from the north. And you being the young boys, we had to fight for our waves at that stage.
Yeah, it was definitely competitive, but that's what I think made the surfing improve quickly. And even though we're all friends, there's good strong rivalries, and but surfing together in those first teams challenges, that was like the first a similarity to being in a rugby league team or a surfing team, to have that kind of camaraderie. And ITN enjoyed a lot of success in those years, and it was really special to be a part of that time.
We did. We won a couple. We came second to Merriweather in one.
Yeah,
at Merriweather. What was it? Was it Ben or Will? We were talking about this yesterday. Ben or Will cost us that final.
No, it was Crammy because he got hassled.
Crammy.
He got hassled by Simon Law and got an interference.
Oh, it was Crammy.
It was Crammy, yes.
Okay.
Crammy,
sorry, Ben and Will.
Crammy, I think underestimated Law because Law was paddling faster. He's lighter and the waves were only 1 foot. And I think Richard was a little bit heavier and Law was like a little greyhound paddling around him and got him on an interference.
I think Crammy just thought Law might show him some respect and let the old legend go.
No respect given.
No, none.
And they won. Well, it's really close.
Really, really close. Like I remember Ginge up there just screaming at the judges.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, that was the crux of it.
And how long did ITN run for?
It started when I was about 15, I reckon, so 1985.
Yeah, it'd only been going a couple of years.
I could be wrong. It was the first time Bronte and Bondi amalgamated.
Didn't we? Well, Crammy was from Coogee.
Yeah, but he's
a Bondi boy. Yeah.
He resided in Coogee there, but he's Bondi. But so they started in the mid-'80s. And then George Wales, he was a part of Platt Surfwear.
Georgie.
So he sort of got behind the club, and they had the first team tracksuits that looked sick, like black. We had pancakes on the rocks. Is it? What was the sponsor we had? Pancakes. We had sponsors all down the front of their jumper.
We were the first super team.
Yeah, and mate, everyone, they were killing it, and I think George Wales had a lot to do with making the appearance special to give them more confidence, and everyone was so proud to wear those tracksuits. So,
mate, it was a privilege to be able to wear those tracksuits.
You couldn't just get one of those. That was like, you got one of those, you're pretty happy.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of fun. Like I know on the sunny coast at the moment, there's a couple of young boys forming something similar. It's GG Board Riders they've got up there, and they run their own events now and whatnot. And it's basically all the young guys that are doing the juniors and the QSs banding together as, I guess, sparring partners once a month to do these comps. I think it's a really good initiative for them to, push their surfing to the next level, especially.
Definitely, they're on the front foot with that, and they're not waiting around for someone to give them the ideas. They're just going, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this." I like that.
Yeah, they've got their own rashies with their own logo and everything now. So, GG Board Riders, shout out to you boys. I want to hear some funny stories because, every time I feel like I'm with you, Dave, I don't stop laughing. Especially that first night before we got Will on yesterday. That Saturday night at your place. We just couldn't stop laughing. Oh, who's that?
Turn it off.
That's Davo.
I thought we told you to turn it off, Dave.
I thought I did.
He's turned it on instead of turning it off.
Huh? Oh, he's a pest.
Who was it?
No.
All right, so I'll start off with a funny story, but it's one I bring up every time I come down here. And there was one time where I think it was that same event. We're at the Great Northern at Newcastle, and I found Mr. Hanky in my board shorts. The Christmas poo.
Yeah, I remember that. Will and myself, we sometimes get bored and try and sort of because we had an addiction to laughing hard.
Yeah, you did.
So we really tried to amuse ourselves a bit, and when there was nothing else happening, the next thing was just to sort of play some pranks on people to get a laugh
In the gutter.
And unfortunately, when you grow up in Bondi, you sort of grow up with a few gutter tricks, and so yeah, they didn't come out all the time. It didn't happen that often, but it would happen on a couple of special occasions, and till this day they're remembered well. I like that.
I'm scarred for life.
Oh, you'll be all right. That's my son's song. Settle down.
But hey, okay, so there was also a year, and Kerbox was a part of our team, yeah? Rod
Yes.
Kerr. Okay, he was a big part of our team. And Davo, it actually carried on to a contest. I don't think you were there. We were in on an island off Tokyo. And
Miyazaki.
no, not Miyazaki, but we were there for an ASP event. Obviously trials and the main event there. And it was absolutely tiny, and everybody was bored. There was a bowling alley there, and there was also a hot spa. And other than that, the water was freezing cold. Nobody wanted to be there if they'd lost. And Shamuka had lost, and so had Kerbox. And Shamuka somehow had found a way to get out of there and get on a flight back home to Hawaii. And Kerbox was that dirty. While Shamuka was out doing stuff, he'd already packed his bag. He unloaded Shmoo's bag and did a Mr. Hanky in it, then packed his stuff back on top to go through customs with.
Kerbox did that, huh? Oh,
Yes.
Well, that's not a bad little trick. I've done something similar to that.
Okay. But, that was pure ITN.
Well, you know what? It's a little calling card to say, mate, you left me.
Yeah, don't
So
do that.
Don't leave me again. And there was this one time we were at this contest, and I won't say who it was, but there was things getting missing from our hotel room at the contest, and it was like we assumed it was a person. We thought, yeah, I think it's this person. So we set him up, and Will Weber used to make wax in those days, Dinosaur Wax,
Yes.
which is a really good company.
Yes.
And so Will had a good idea and said, look, why don't we just put a couple of – because the gentleman was going to Hawaii the next day as well,
Oh, okay.
coincidentally. And we thought, well, maybe we'll put a few cakes of wax out and see if they go disappearing. And so sure they did. And we opened up the guy's bag, and they were in there, and we going, oh, what are we going to do about this? So Sean Munro, who is usually very conservative,
Yes, he is.
said, I've got a great idea. We're going to grab that wax, we're going to cut a big scoop hole out of it, and I'm going to shit in it, and we're going to put the scoop of wax back on it like it's never been used before. And then also, I'm just going to make some shit sandwiches and put them in a Glad rack bag and put them right at the bottom of his bag.
Sean did this?
Yes, very conservative.
Wow.
I think he'd been hanging out with these Bondi guys.
Yeah, I think he might have been.
So anyway, sure enough, he gets to Hawaii because he's waxing his board and then just slips straight on a new gun. And so, it took a while for us to hear that end of the story.
Oh, how good.
But that's, so, you don't want to sort of be doing not nice things when you're with
No,
the Bondi guys.
correct.
You set yourself up for disaster and put a target on your back.
I lived in total respect and fear.
Oh, yeah, you respect it. But yeah, maybe that Grogan that you fear, it was just a one-off. So relax.
I know that. I know that. But so I'll go back to this island in Japan. So after what Kerbox did to Shmoo, we're out and everybody's drinking, and I'm with Michael Ho and such like, and we're outside the 10-pin bowling alley, and he's outside and he's taking a leak, and he's accidentally sprayed my foot, and I'm going, hey, and he's gone, oh shit. You Aussie ITN guys, you're crazy. I'm so sorry.
What Michael Ho said that.
Michael Ho said that. And I'm like, it's okay, mate. I was a blow-in. I'm not like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when you think of Bondi, you think of the Sydney Roosters, quite clean cut, and it's a very prestigious place that people talk about living in. But by the sound of it, back then, you guys were
It was
mongrels.
called Scum Valley.
100%.
Yeah, so it was you know, the name sort of described the territory, and that's where we grew up.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to move up to the Gold Coast?
Well, weird thing, I was traveling for a whole year on the tour, and I got really homesick. And when I came home the first day, I was walking down the street, and a couple of Banchongs were walking towards me with their hands, holding hands, and I was just a bit shocked. And I thought, oh mate, I'm walking straight in through the middle of this. And I walked straight through them deliberately, and they kept their hands holding, so they wouldn't let me through. And I just thought that was the day I said, oh, my home's changed.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, so I was a bit sad.
So yeah,
That was my first day back after a year.
Wow.
well, that's funny, Davo, because it's, when Carleen and I we got married there in Sydney, living in Bondi, and as soon as we thought about having children, we went, we're out of here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't want to say about that because there's young families and friends of mine still living there.
Me too.
But they still have a great life down there.
Yeah, they do.
And when I do go home and get to just have a look at, I overlook the whole beach from the icebergs, and it is a beautiful place.
It is.
Even though the buildings were a bit mismatched when they sort of started it all out. But I've got good memories there, and there's still beautiful Bondi families there.
Me too.
Enjoying there.
If you remember when I first came and everything was so tight, you knew everyone.
Yeah, it was a lot more tighter than
Okay, it was so tight. And admittedly, we're old now and we haven't been there for a long time, but you don't see all that crew that you grew up with there. Like everybody has spread.
Yeah.
And only the hardcore people with their parents that are still down there are still there.
Well, unfortunately, this is what happens. It's happening quite now at Rainbow Bay, like with more development and the cost of living. Some families can't afford to live in the same area they want to, and they sort of get moved out, and then that changes the dynamic of the social scene where you're walking down the street and there's people there you don't know, and they just accept it's just new people.
I mean, we have it on the Sunshine Coast now where ever since COVID, so many people moved up from Sydney and Victoria. Because I was still working in real estate at that point in time, 2020, 2021. And the community's gone from one where you'd walking down along Alex, the front there, and you'd say good morning to people and say good morning back. Where now you walk past and say good morning to someone, it's like they're looking straight through you, or they're like, who are you?
Yeah, we're experiencing that here now, yeah. So it's unfortunately, the old wholesome days without any phones and stuff, what I experience is people are happy to avoid eye contact and just look at their phone instead of going, like making an effort to say hello to someone, which is a bit sort of poor.
It's sad.
And that's sort of, socially wise, I feel that's like a negative, that phone, that easy escape to the phone to avoid saying hello to someone, that pisses me off.
Yeah, it gets us detached from reality and being present for sure.
So let's touch on a different note right now. You're talking to young William Webber, the last interview we did yesterday, and I touched on one thing to me, Davo, and not peeing in your pocket, but to me, unfortunately, you were at that stage of surfing where the money had sort of disappeared. And to me, you were the most underrated surfer of that era. You were the new Tom Carroll, but with more style. You were more critical in your turns than what Tom was. Admittedly, quite a few years younger, about 10 years younger.
Yeah, it'd be 10 years younger.
Okay, and
or 9.
Just for me, okay, you gave me raps, but for me, you were the most all-round surfer of that era coming through at that stage, but the money just wasn't there.
Yep. Yeah, well, in that time, I remember, I think there was a financial crisis worldwide, and now our Australian dollar was 51 cents.
That's right.
At probably the worst time of our surfing careers.
Yeah.
And traveling to England and America, our dollar suffered.
And we were staying in the States for 2 months.
Yeah, I was there for like 6 months.
You were staying there with Toddy for
Yeah.
quite a while.
Yes,
At
so
Newport.
we had to stay there because the economy was so bad. There was no events in Australia,
That's right.
and so we had to go do the Bud surfing tour in America.
Yeah, that's right. That's when Carleen and myself came over that time. We stayed with you guys at Todd's place for a little while.
Yes, and so unfortunately, it's just
Can we
the way it
tell a
goes.
story about that? Remember when we flew to San Fran and you guys drove from Toddy's place? Remember stopping and getting held up? You and the crew in the alleyway in LA?
No, that was at an underground. That was at an underground because back in those days you couldn't have any parties, and if you had a party in a street house, the helicopters would just come straight over at 7:30 p.m. with the high beam lights off and just like fully get rid of the party. So they had underground parties. This is before. It's amazing how they did it because they communicated to all these different people that they're going to have a party in the underground somewhere.
Right.
And this one party we went to was in LA in an underground car park. And I went to go outside to do a piss. Yeah. And,
in the alley.
and I feel this thing in my back.
He was near the glory hole.
And it's a Negro guy just going, mate, give us your watch. And I turned around and I was with my then Australian girlfriend, and she's like, give me a watch. And he goes, I want your watch as well. So I said, yeah, give me the watch. And we're giving the watches, and we turn around, and then the guys held up their beer bottles and just started laughing, and we're just saying, you white guys are so scared. And I said, well, mate, I didn't even see you. You got a thing in my back. And he goes, we don't want your watches. And he threw the watches on the ground. And then Todd Miller, the American guy that was with us, he was just freaking out. He pissed himself. And he was just like really scared. And then, in the end, they just left us. And I was just, what happened then?
That's a
It
whirlwind.
was like an activist thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but it was
it was a really
almost like
scary
a
time.
cultural thing at the time because they were all quite poor. They thought that we were all scared of them.
Yeah,
You're in like South Central LA basically.
I think the accent threw them off, maybe.
Yeah, I think the accent. I heard there was a comment like "you stupid Aussies."
Well, I don't know. Like, nah, it was more like white. It was a white.
Oh, it was a
thing.
white thing.
Yeah. So it was like, and Sharon, poor Sharon, she was really shaken up because she
Yeah.
was like a full on like robbery thing. But we moved on. We got over it.
Yeah, 100%. But pretty wild
But
times.
Todd had to drive home with his
with his wet
pants.
pants. Good on you, Toddy.
But he's a good boy, Todd Miller.
great
Shout out
guy.
to him if you're watching. You're a good man, Toddy.
And let's touch on where you've eventuated now, because obviously you learn to surf down here at Coolangatta.
Yep.
You've got your two sons and Nora, your partner. Brandon obviously surfs really well. I try not to beef him up too much before we get him to sit down.
Yeah,
but
don't do that.
No.
but mate, like, run us through some of the people you've worked with. I mean, Dad, when I originally was competing, I remember saying to Dad, like, we would butt heads all the time because obviously he's dad and coach. So I'm curious to ask that question at some point. Like, do you two butt heads? But what do you find with your coaching? What are you trying to implement into this next generation of up and coming surfers? Do you still put them against the wall for 3 minutes before you start doing anything with them?
Yeah, I like the wall technique.
Yeah.
That's just the biggest surfing muscles, your quads, and to get them strong. I mean, it's in. There's like a little like a evolution of surfers that have had strong legs, and I remember Tom Carroll was really, really staunch on his back leg, and would just work. He just worked on his back leg muscle, the left one, and then remember Tom Curran would hop on his back leg upstairs and just get that back leg of his, the right leg, and just like really have a powerful back leg. And I'm not saying you need to be extreme like that, but having strong quads is gonna make your first turn really powerful, your middle turn powerful, and your finishing turn powerful. So there's no downtime in in leg power.
Yeah. So I remember the first time Dad sent me down to you after we'd butted heads. He goes, go down, coach with Davo before your next comp. Like, do that instead. And you were still living up in the old house on Green Mountain Hill there.
Yeah.
And you go, I said, oh, Dad sent me down to UMaster to train. You're like, all right, grasshopper, go sit against the wall for 3 minutes. And I remember I was just struggling hard for a minute and a half. I can't do it. And you're like, well, we can't go training yet. And you just kept doing whatever you were doing at the time. I can't remember what it was, but you were just fiddling around the house. And you're like, we can't go down there until you've done 3 minutes on the wall. And I know I couldn't do it right now to save my life probably. But yeah, I was wondering if that was something you still use with a lot of your crew.
Yeah, it's a really good technique. A really good time I did it was in Peru. I had the whole team. We're on this ancient Inca wall, which is, I don't know how many years, thousands of years old. I don't know how many years it is, but and I had them lined up on the whole wall together. And I even had the coaches and their managers all along this line. And I was, even then, because, it does get painful and you want to give up. So once I see that happening, I start just getting in their heads. So when I see them, struggling physically, then I go into their mental and I say, okay, do you want all these guys coming here to take your gold away? Because they were hosting the event, and just some psychological things like how hard do you want to win for this team? Do you want to, and if you're feeling any pain, think about your family. Think about how proud they will be of you going hard and in this moment and getting gold for your country and your family. And then I can extract a few more minutes of them on the wall. And then that extra pain and extra mental strength to stay there holds them in good stead for the event.
Yeah,
Correct.
it builds the confidence up for them.
No, they've done the work.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, so that and collectively they all in the same situation. So it's a really good way to bond them.
Team building.
Yeah.
Now let's touch on, before we get him on, let's touch on Brandon, because obviously I've known Brandon his whole life. It's been really incredible to see him grow over the years, especially in the last few years, to be honest. Like the caliber of surfing he's doing now compared to where I remember seeing him out at Snapper when we'd go surfing every now and again. It's awesome, and you've raised such a humble, respectful young man. So hats off to you and Nora for that. But what sort of training have you got him on at the moment? Or have you sort of at that stage where you're, probably like what Dad and I is, trying to make sure there's that difference between coach and father role?
Yeah, because he's still 12, I haven't got him doing any real physical training. There's a lot of kids down here that are going to these places and they're trying to get these extra edges, but unfortunately, I'm pretty sure they're just going to get burned out.
Yeah,
100%.
But also their bodies haven't developed yet.
Yeah, so they're, I don't mean to be rude, but they're kind of brainwashed into doing these extracurricular exercises or training instead of letting the guy's body grow.
And be a child.
Yes. So for me, I'm not really doing any of that. Brandon's fortunate enough he goes to the PBC surfing program.
Yep.
And they do fitness and not heavy fitness.
No, just body weight.
He does surfing fitness once a week, I think.
Okay.
There, and then he does surfing drills with the other coaches. So as far as physical training, there's none of that. But I'm more technical training.
Yeah.
And filming him a lot and trying to fix up little loose ends.
Well, and at that age, I think that's more important than doing the physical side of thing. I made the mistake when I turned 15 to start going into the resistance training a lot heavier, and it caused me to put on a lot more sides than what I needed to be an agile surfer.
And eventually hurt your back.
Yeah, it did. Eventually, I ended up getting injured, but That's not to say that would have changed anything in my career, I don't think, but I think it is important the way you're approaching it with the filming and the film analysis at that young age, because that's where you are, like you said, tying up the loose ends, fixing the little things to make the technique polished,
Yeah.
rather than just going for brute power or, going past the realm of technique into progression before the technique's even developed itself.
Yeah. Also, physically, let that run its course.
Mhm.
I mean, the amount of surfing, the paddling, the duck diving, the breathing, that's all real healthy. Yeah. So if the waves are good, because he's got a little brother that surfs with him now, Charlie.
And he's charging.
He's coming on.
He's a little beast.
He is a little beast. He's he's an exciting little thing to sort of help in the future. But yeah, they're a good little team now. They can go surfing together
And they care about one another. As much as they annoy each other, they care about one another.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
hey, Joel and I went through it,
Joel and Josh used to beat each other up.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I guess it's a brother thing. So, but I never had a brother, so I always tell these guys, mate, I wanted to have a brother, and you guys just aren't appreciating each other.
No, they will, mate. They will.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It took Joel and I 18 years, so it'll come around. So, Dave, I want to pick your brain a couple more things. One is the current state of the WSL. Obviously, they've just had the Gold Coast Burley Pro here a month or so ago now. What are you seeing in the WSL? Are they missing marks on certain things, or are you seeing it slowly building back into a prestigious organisation that we got to experience through the ASP days at the start?
The one thing I still think about quite a lot is, and this happened in Japan a while ago when I was doing a QS, you've got all these people traveling to one location for a surfing event. They're there. They're not going to be leaving in a week. They're there. Why can't they, judges, really analyze the scores, go over it with video analysis to get the right result? Whether it takes 3 hours or 6 hours, the people are there to wait for a fair result. I know it mightn't be good for spectators or for the fans that want to know an instant result, whether they're getting through or not. But just because I see, judges are human. Sometimes there's 3 or 4 guys on a wave. One goes left, one goes right. They can't physically score properly. And that happens quite a lot. There might be 3 waves set, and you can't really dissect the scores humanly possibly with your own eyes when you've got to try and focus on every wave. So for me, I thought for sure this day and age, they'd be able to have this technology where they don't have to rush for the result. Just make sure they break down every score properly with video analysis and really get the numbers right. Because sometimes, the poor guy, the third surfer or the second surfer, one of those surfers isn't getting their wave scored properly, and that's costing them losing.
Yep. I've definitely had, Dad, you've mentioned a few times I've had that happen where you feel like the judges missed my wave or they've got their colours confused, which I think is a bit weird. Like you choose 4 different colours in a heat for that exact reason that you don't get them confused, but white and yellow sometimes look the same. But yeah, that's an interesting comment, because you'd think the same thing. You'd think they'd have a board of panels in front of them that would be replaying that wave from the multi-angles that they've got to really be able to decipher the criticalness of the turn, the progression of the turn, how on rail it is.
Well, here we go. Here's something that goes along those lines is, there's only so many waves in the heat that they really need to focus on. If they gave, after each heat, an extra 20 minutes of just the analysis to get it exactly right, to come up with that right score, would that help? I mean, 20 minutes between each heat isn't a very long time. Well,
mate, they've got the technology. I mean, you can film every wave, because even a backup wave, if there's a tie, you got to have another wave. So, mate, they can afford to film every wave in the heat. They have the time and they have the resources to just say, okay, this might take 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We'll give you the scores after 30 minutes. I'm sure if you did a survey on all the surfers competing and asked them, would you want a fair result or a quick off the stomach judge result, which you don't know is going to be the proper score or not? What would you rather? An analyzed score or a quick assessment?
Yeah. So on that same point, we watch trestles, Josh and myself, and we get the chance to go over those heats again and watch those waves over again. I pulled things apart and gone, hold on, that wave was definitely worth more than what the other guy got on his wave, because you're looking at those small 5%ers or whatever that are just, you can see it. And that's why so many fans out there are off the WSL, because they're getting to do what we do and they're seeing things differently to what the judges are.
Yeah, well, one of the famous things I've been told recently, which is quite right, when you're looking live, it is a lot different in your eyes than it is from the TV screen, the monitor when you're watching. So I understand that.
But
that
they're watching monitors too, mate. But it's straight on.
But what it is it's just to let the judges be human, and things happen right in front of your eyes in time, and I think it's just fair. They'll get less flack. The surfers will be happier if they just get the result right.
Correct.
And if they show a bit of care to the scores,
Yes,
and show that little bit of extra love to each and every score, analyze it, make sure it's right, double check it, triple check it, and then lock it in.
like the NRL with the bunker.
That's right.
Okay, the only thing we're disturbed about with that is they can't judge on a forward pass.
That's the problem.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time when it's a try, the bunker gets it right.
Yeah, well, that's right. So I reckon they could, I think even on the QS, these guys on the Challenger Series, you guys got Australians are traveling to Japan, they're going here, they're going there. You got to respect that travel time and just give them that bit of love to their scores to make sure whether they got third, fourth, or second, first, just to make sure. So when they leave that event, they totally understand they got beaten.
They're spending $70,000 minimum a year.
Yes.
To go to the CS.
Yeah.
Okay, it's their life. They've invested everything into it.
Mm-hmm.
So why not for WSL to invest everything back into their life, because they're giving it everything?
Well, I tell you, I mean, everyone's got iPhones. It's pretty simple. You can just do it on an iPhone. It'd be a very cheap cost. It's just a time thing. It might take 30 minutes, 20 minutes to get it right.
But even then, you can look at franchises like the UFC. And when they do a UFC bout, they've got a, 30, I don't know the exact time frame. There's breaks between each rounds for the judges to sit back and look at replays of significant strikes. But then not only that, at the end of each bout, when the bout's completed, whether they're knocked out in the first round or finished and go the distance, they still take a 5-10 minute break afterwards. There's still timing in between each one. So I feel like with the WSL, like we're saying, they've got the technology there to do it. I think we do often hear how some people have been ripped off by, or we believe as spectators, they've been ripped off due to the scoring. So I don't see why there'd be an issue. And like you said, the spectators are already going to be down there. It gives them a chance for more advertising for the sponsors in between that time frame when the heat finishes to when the results read out. They could just pump that full of advertising to bring more revenue in for them. So,
well, not only that, it gives the spectators like a half-time break at the footy to go get a feed and go get a feed or a beer, because they're going to be watching.
And this is where they could even have on the big teleprompters at the events the replays of the waves and what the judges are seeing, so the spectators are then even more engaged.
Yeah, I think it's got to be more transparent. And that's if they can do it, because you can't put big screens everywhere. But it could be done at nearly every contest with an iPhone.
Yep.
From grassroots
yes
to WSL.
And so speaking about grassroots, obviously the Occy Grom comp's on this weekend down here. We're actually watching it being televised on the TV at your other unit. Now, one thing I wanted to touch on, obviously when we came down and watched Brandon's round 2 heat yesterday, we were noticing a lot of parents that I believe are a bit too involved, I'm going to say. And this is coming from a bloke that had Robbie as a coach and a dad when I was doing competing. But I'm seeing some of these parents that are so invested in their kid to the point where I feel like it's just putting unwanted pressure on these young 12, 14-year-old boys and girls. Being a father and a coach yourself, what do you think about that whole situation?
Yeah, well, because I've been coaching for nearly 30 years, I've seen the bad parents and the good parents and the mellow parents. There's a mix of all kinds of kind of styles. I really appreciate the ones that sort of stand back. And when the kids are at a really young age, they do need a little bit of guidance. Like, I get when you're standing with your kid, because I do it with myself with my little 9-year-old. You've got to sort of show him where an easy way to paddle out is on a beach break. You've got to sort of show him like where a wave might be breaking consistently, and he can sort of sit there and line up with something. So there is an element of care there,
Of course,
with the younger kids. But with children that are, possibly in the under 14s, they're pretty much experienced enough to sort of go it alone.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, no one, you're at mercy to your own child. So, and there's no rules to what to do. So, but there is parents you see sort of go a bit overboard on the pre-heat routine.
Yep.
And I can't really comment. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing or a good thing, but I just feel that I like the stand back approach.
Well, it's one thing I really admired about your approach with Brandon yesterday before that round 2 heat. You guys just sort of walked down, you put yourself away from the thoroughfare of all the other people. When Brandon got his rashy, all you basically asked him was, have you waxed up your board? And then he went down the beach, he did his stretches, he did his warm-up, got himself in the zone and went out and surfed his heat. Whereas there were other parents involved, like I know 2 parents in particular. One was talking to his kid all the way up until the kid's feet hit the water, basically trying to, I don't know what he was saying, but he looked very, very emotionally invested into it. And there was another dad at the same time of another competitor who was on the rocks, like yelling, whistling, yahooing, ferociously pointing to get his son to paddle hard. His son's just surfed a wave all the way through to Little Marley. And then there he is screaming and yelling on the rocks, trying to get him to paddle faster. It's like, mate, he's 12 years old. He's doing his best right now.
Yeah, I thought a few years ago at that event, they were saying that there couldn't be coaching on the rocks.
Really?
Yeah, so I remember Bo Edwards saying you can't do any coaching on the rocks. So yeah, so if that was happening, the guy was doing the wrong thing.
Well, I don't think his son got through, unfortunately for the kid. But it is one thing that we do see, and there's a friend of ours has got an Instagram page that sort of takes the piss out of these guys called Old Boy Johnny. Shout out to Old Boy Johnny.
Yeah, old boy.
But Dad and I, we had our moments where Dad would be very invested in my heats, and it's because I really wanted it too at the time, and we'd have our conversations afterwards. But I do feel like for these young competitors, especially going through such a pivotal stage of going into teenage years, going through puberty, there's a lot of emotions going through them already, to have their parents riding them, and especially some of these parents that have sold up everything they own to pack it into a Sprinter van, to take them down to all these comps. It's like, man, like you're literally waging your whole family's livelihood on your kid. You're putting this pressure on a 12-year-old, 14-year-old child. I personally don't think that's fair. Like it must be tough.
I saw a little kid, they put a saddle on his back and he was still trying to ride him to the shore. No, but like since your time, not being rude, you're not that old, but the surfing grommet thing has exploded, and there's a lot of events.
It's expensive too.
When I was doing the pro juniors, I think there was 3 events a year.
Yeah.
And then you do that's when the state titles meant something, and the Australian titles. And because the contest market saturated. Those Aussie titles have really been sort of
Null and void now.
yeah, they sort of lost their polish.
Well, it's funny though. So you're saying they were something when you were there. After I won a Queensland title and such, like the actual polish went off them because the APSA was on at that stage. You know what I mean? There was that next
that was
level
the next-
above, and then there was the ASP. So the shine went off that for a little while, like it has now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, but then the APSA disappeared, and so everything came back to the state titles and.
Yeah, it was a little bit like the Super League and the NRL war because once you got the two, one lessons, you know.
Correct.
So yeah, it's interesting. You remember me that, but
It's interesting too, talking about the pro juniors and the way they've developed, and then I think they've regressed personally, because I remember before I started my campaign in the pro juniors when I was still a bit younger, Billabong basically had their grip on the whole pro junior tour.
It was a Billabong.
It was a Billabong pro junior tour,
Yeah,
and
it's
the winners were getting 10 grand. Whereas these days, the winners of a pro junior now, I'm imagining, are only getting 4.5, maybe 4 grand.
No, less.
You know, I'd make a round of 16 in a pro junior, and I'd be getting paid $1,100.
yeah, I don't think they're doing that.
You know, so it just goes to show it's like the pro juniors they started off small. They built to a point where, you know, you had your Wade Goodalls, your Mitch Colborns, your Laurie Towners, all that sort of crew, where Lee Sedleys, and they were making, 10 grand for a win and then 6.5 for a second, then it'd filter down from there. Whereas when I finished the juniors, we were having to travel, I think there was maybe only, 3 or 4 in the country, if lucky, and if you're lucky to get into them. And then we'd have to travel to Tahiti and places like that are going to cost us an arm and a leg to get there. And even if you win the event, you're not making your money back on the amount that's cost to get you there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a tricky thing. All these competitors now, there's a huge growth, especially in like there's going to be, no one thought there'd be under 12s years ago.
No.
And so that's fully saturated. There's going to be under 10s, then there's going to be under 8s. You mark my word. You watch. There's going to be Australia's going to have an under 8s.
But even look at the way they run the comps these days. Like when I was doing the Oki Grom comp, they had the under 14s, under 16s, under 18s, and it would be a round of 128, and then it'd go down from there. Whereas now they're starting off with a round of 24.
Yeah, well, they're picking the eyes out of the competitors that have been trying to get ratings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're getting rewarded into those events, which I understand that. But I also feel if they've got time, they could extend the entries to give those other people chances, because it is a bit of a closed door. If you don't have any kind of rating, you aren't getting in any event.
No, well, I'm talking or helping out a mate of mine's son at the moment, Jira, up on the sunny coast. I surfed in the Mentauis with him. Got an incredible style, but I messaged him when I was down there saying, "Hey mate, did you get in the Oki?" He goes, "No, I didn't make it into that one because he doesn't have a rating for it."
Yeah,
but
that's
like
right.
he's like, to me, he's one of the really technically sound surfers on the sunny coast for his age, but he couldn't even get a look in.
What would be nice if it was possible. It's just an idea that maybe, you know, each board riding club in Australia could nominate their best kid that doesn't have a rating, and maybe they could sort of
Board Riders wild
get
card.
them in a
trials event.
events.
A
I was going to
trials
say
event.
even a trials event.
Yeah.
Where they could put they could then nominate 2 surfers for each division into a trials event from that board riders club,
Yeah.
which still brings it back to that grassroots, which then gives an incentive for these kids to participate in board riders comps too.
Yeah, because it's if you're not chasing those points, and what I see is it starts from the under 12, so you got to start getting a rating early, and that carries into the under 14s, and then that carries your points keep carrying further if
right.
you keep going in them.
It's a ladder.
Yeah, there's a ladder, and if you're not, the only way to get into there, you've got to start at a regional event, like a Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast title, something like that, to get some points.
But it's always been that way, Dave.
Well, there wasn't points back in our days.
Well,
no ratings.
no. Well, but to get into a ASP trials event and such,
yeah.
you had to have done well in your state. You had to have done well in APSA
Yeah.
or whatever to even get in. There were lots of people that couldn't get in.
Yeah. But, this is, we're talking about under 12.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
no,
like
yeah, I
that,
know, not
kids.
not pro surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting take. Before we finish up with you, Dave, and we get Brandon on, where can people, say there's anyone on here wanting to come to the Gold Coast and get coached by you, how can they contact you? How can they find you?
Well, my website's coolangatolearntosurf.com. We have an email in there that you can contact with us and a phone number. I specialize in video analysis, where we video you surfing and we go through the ins and outs and the rights and wrongs, and we give you the footage back so you can sort of hold on to it and analyze yourself.
And work on those finer 1%ers, mate, just to make everything right.
Yeah, sometimes they're 5%.
Yeah.
Could be 20.
Could be
If you've
that.
got a dirty nun,
No, I was
that's
about to say
70.
that dirty nun knee. Yeah.
You said you're going to fix my forehand today, so I'm looking forward to that later on after we do this interview with Brandon. But look, we are going to have to finish up there, guys. If you haven't already, give us a like and a follow. We will have the email and website for Davo's coaching in the bio. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. But Davo, I love you so much, mate.
Yeah, love you, brother.
Really
All right,
do.
love you, boys. Thanks for coming down and turning it into a little Lebanese Casbah.
All right, guys. See you soon. Thank you.